How come in Moon Kingdom there are no stars in the sky, but if you travel to literally the other part of the moon, then you'll see an entire solar system all of a sudden? Or you ever wonder what's up with the bunnies in this giant carrot in that kingdom too? The only entrances are these small holes, yet they somehow fit an entire massive airship inside of here. Well, it seems there's even more things that don't make sense in Mario Odyssey. So much so that I had to make a part 2 to my first video where we looked at odd occurrences like how Mario can't breathe underwater but can in outer space, or how the bridge supports in Bowser's Kingdom don't attach to anything and are just floating. Yes, this is the series where we apply real-life logic into video games, and this time we're looking at 30 more things that don't make sense in Mario Odyssey. Why do they use this sign to show that quicksand is deadly? Now, you may think that a skull is a good visual to use, until you realize that every single resident in this kingdom has a skull as their face. So this would be like the equivalent of just having a normal face on this sign in any other kingdom. When you go into the door in the Flatiron building in New Donk City, why does it lead to just some random alleyway? It's not even like you're coming out the back of the building, because this building is entirely surrounded by streets with no other visible exits. So is this door some sort of portal? Speaking of the Metro Kingdom, what's with the inside of the New Donk City Hall? Like, who makes this giant building and then just hollows out the interior? So what is the purpose of this whole structure when there's nothing inside? This is prime real estate. This place has no rooms, it's just these walls that you can even see outside from. In the squid capture, you can move fairly fast by propelling yourself with this stream of water. But then how come you can't move at all when you're on a solid surface? The only thing that is touching the ground is the water. So you're trying to tell me that the friction of the water and the ground is what's stopping any sort of movement? No way. How come when you're wearing an enemy capture, all the townspeople think you're the real thing and get scared, but then these monsters just see right through your disguise and still attack you? Even if it's from another species, they'll notice you. So is this game saying that every resident in the entire world is dumber than a Goomba? How come Mario doesn't just like steal all the power moons and items from the shops? I mean, he literally has a mind control device in the form of Cappy. Just control one of the shopkeepers and take all the stuff. Or if they're wearing a hat, then just knock off the hat first, like you do with many other enemies in this game. When Mario first gets Cappy, why does he just throw him away like that? Luckily, Cappy coincidentally has like a boomerang effect, but Mario didn't know this. They met like 2 seconds ago, and he already tried to throw him away. How come Bowser's footprints show his bare feet, but in literally every instance that you see him in the game, he's wearing shoes? Does he just not want to get his shoes dirty or something? Is he just like somebody holding their flip-flops as they walk on the beach? Because that would be a pretty hilarious sight to see from Bowser. And also, why does his footprints even appear in just this short little area? Like, did Bowser jump off his airship, then take off his shoes, then walk a few steps, and then realize he doesn't need to walk, so he jumped back onto his airship? Because that would be the only logical conclusion from this. What is with some of the reflections on the buildings of New Donk City? Like, this building here has a reflection of a bunch of different streets, a giant park, and frankly, just a bunch of other stuff that isn't behind you. Because when you turn around, it's a whole different setting. What's even weirder is that it looks like the reflections are too low and you're just floating above the reflected city. Mario obviously can bounce on his hat in the game as one of the main mechanics. But how does he jump on the goggles or the doctor cap, for example? You're saying he has the agility to land his feet on the tiny strap of the goggles and then somehow use that to bounce upward? Oh, and don't even get me started on how he bounced off this spinning axe prop either. The fire that Captain Toad always lights up has some pretty weird properties to it, like how it somehow always relights itself after like 2 seconds. But what I find really weird is how you still get hurt by it when in the squid capture, considering you're totally surrounded by this water bubble, yet you still get burned. How come the interior of Peach's castle doesn't match the outside at all? The outside is literally symmetrical, but then the inside is this odd trapezoid-like shape. That's not even mentioning how the balcony doesn't even have a door that leads up here. Like, what is this building? When you capture a Goomba stack, how do you move the entire stack when you're only controlling the top Goomba? Really? You should be controlling the bottom one, and then the rest would just balance on your head. Unless there's some like hive mind going on in the Goombas that I'm not aware of. I don't know. Mario's wardrobe is rather impressive in Odyssey compared to, well, every other Mario game. Only question is, how does Mario fit his entire collection of outfits into the tiniest closet that I've ever seen? He must be packing this super tightly, like when the closet is closed, it could explode at any time. What is up with the Mushroom Kingdom in this game? Like, where is this area supposed to be? A lot of other kingdoms have these big pits around them, but at least they make sense geographically, whereas Mushroom Kingdom looks like just a chunk of the earth was taken out and now it's floating over this grassy field that's way down there. You can even see the shadow of this weird floating landmass too. And also, because of this, how does Yoshi even get back home in this area? You can see that he lives up here by his fireplace on this other floating landmass since he has this sign that says he's not home. But how exactly? There's no way to reach this place from the mainland, and there's no transportation system in this kingdom either. In all the shops, you'll hear a little jingle as the shop music that's playing inside or from a radio. But then how does that same jingle play when you're on the shop that's on the back of Dory? There is no music player or radio in sight, so is like Dory over here perfectly humming the same tune? How does this Jaxi guy over here get up to the very top of the inverted pyramid? I mean, the only way up is by using this wire or by doing all the intense interior platforming sections, and don't tell me that Jaxi was able to do that either. But he is still somehow able to get up to the Jaxi stand way up here in a blink of an eye. Mario is a man of many talents in many different sports. But geez, did you ever realize how crazy good he is at volleyball? Regardless of his position, he is always able to perfectly volley or even kick the ball right back to the snail's position. Or he can even throw his hat to hit the ball at the perfect angle too. Obviously, the main feature of Cascade Kingdom is, well, this giant waterfall. But you ever wonder where all this water is coming from? There's no lake up here, so it just seems to randomly come out of the dirt. It's not even just a small leak or something, because look at the amount of water here coming out of nowhere. Why is it that when you capture anything, they'll always have Mario's red hat on their head, regardless of what hat Mario is actually wearing? Even when this bug guy grabs your hat too, it'll change, and then once he lets go, it'll change back again. So, yeah, what's going on here? How do these giant ice formations just appear in Sand Kingdom? I know it's supposed to be cold, but ice is simply frozen water. Being cold wouldn't just make water appear, especially because this is a desert, so this is the last place that you'd think you would find these giant glaciers of frozen water. How come if you leave your hat on a scarecrow, then walk a good amount of distance away, you can still somehow use your teleporting function, which is totally reliant on your hat? It just instantly somehow teleports back to you and you're good. Like, Cappy got there way too fast. And also, how do you even fly around to the flag checkpoints while using Cappy in the first place? Are you just hiding in his hat or something? Plus, how can he even carry you around when he couldn't even hold up Mario in one of the moon cutscenes? Plus, if you can fly around like this, how come Cappy doesn't just do this to skip every platforming section? Ugh, there's just too many questions with this one. Who is flying the Odyssey as as these two travel the world, the Odyssey always just takes off randomly when these guys are still outside. There's not even a control panel to put some autopilot mode on or something. So is Cappy somehow telepathically controlling this hat-shaped ship? Ever notice just how heavy of a sleeper this dinosaur is? Doesn't wake up from anything. You could be ground pounding his head or even his eye somehow, and this guy doesn't even feel a thing. How can Mario, this superhuman as it seems, survive a fall from any height? Look at his reaction too. He's just like, okay, I'm good. Talk about legs of steel over here. He's crazy. And the final bonus 31st thing that doesn't make sense is how only 3% of viewers are subscribed to the channel. Now wait, before you click off, I know like every other YouTuber and their mother brings up this image, but I feel that 3% is pretty low. So if we can bring that up to 5 or even 10%, that would be awesome because there is definitely a lot of work that goes into these videos. And as always, let me know some things that don't make sense to you in this game, and I will see you next week.